Jobs fill your pockets, but adventures fill your souls. What do you think? Hi listeners, here is Giridhar and you are listening to the podcast Giridhar's Garadi that is full of my personal experiences, ideas and opinions on various subjects. We are in the 5th episode today. Hold your horses. Before we start our episode today, let's see the comments from the last week. The first comment is from Alok. It says, "Hi Giri, all your 3 podcasts were really awesome. Keep it up. I have listened all 3 in a single day. Explained very neatly and in an expressive manner. All 3 are heart-touching. You are really a very good orator. I'm personally really impressed. You are a hidden talent. I know one day you will touch heights. Such talents can't be hidden for a long time. Good to see at least someone is following his passion. Keep it up. This is a good one, I feel, as well as you can reach unlimited people and it's realistic, related to most of people's lives." Thank you so much, Alok. I'm surprised you listened to them, but thanks a lot. Started preparing concept posters from the last week. Every Saturday we'll have a new episode. I love doing RJ, but couldn't go that way. So at least thought the podcast as a best practice. If I could inspire some people and bring out a positive change, that gives me a lot of satisfaction. Thank you so much for the encouragement, Alok. It really means a lot. The next comment is from Afrin. She says, "Me podcasts are good and relatable." Thank you, Afrin. The next comment is from Priyanka. She says, "Seeing lots of podcast posters, they are good." Thanks a lot, Priyanka. The next comment is from Samyukta. She says, "Your podcast posters are good." Thank you, Samyukta. The next comment is from Tejasvi. He says, "Good to see you in moving various directions, dude. Toastmasters, cooking, now podcast. Keep it coming. All the very best." Thank you so much, Tejasvi, for the words of encouragement. Alright, moving on to today's episode. It is travel. Jobs fill your pockets, but adventures fill your soul. One of the best quote I read somewhere. Of course, I'm not someone who is passionate about adventures. But yes, 2 years ago, even I had an adventure, never like before. It's totally a different experience for someone like me who doesn't travel more. Not sure if I can get similar experiences again, but this one remains special forever. This episode is all about my trip to Rajasthan. There comes a stage in our life where we get overloaded with the happenings around and feel like taking a break from everything. I experienced similar situation and wanted to run away from the routine at least for some time. I didn't think much. Just decided a destination, booked the tickets, hotel and packed my bags. I was in a daze and not sure if I was doing right. Till last minute, I was not confident that I would make it happen, but finally it happened. Early in the morning, I started off with minimum luggage and maximum thoughts. It was not the first time that I was traveling, but it was the first time I was traveling alone for some unknown destination. Not sure what I would do there, how I would reach there, how I would survive there, that too for almost a week. It was going to be completely a different location with different people, different language and everything different. It was not that easy for someone like me who never stepped out of comfort zone. But I thought, no, I should do it. I got into the flight. It was my first domestic flight journey. Surprisingly, I found one of my colleagues in the flight. Oh, I felt happy to meet someone I know at least during the journey. We landed in Mumbai and talked for a while until he left along with his relative. I plan to visit Juhu Beach in Mumbai as I would have another 6 hours for my connecting flight to Udaipur. But there was heavy downpour due to which I had to spend the time by roaming in the airport. It was little boring after lunch until I met a passenger to Udaipur. I was curious about the place I was going to. I kept on asking people about the tourist spots to visit and started validating with the checklist I prepared. The connecting flight started 1 hour late, but the view from the window of the flight once it started was extraordinary. I fell in love with Mumbai just with a glance. Then, after some time, I got to see the sunshine and the clouds. I felt life could take a pause for a while. Tried my best to capture that moment in my camera. It was almost 8 pm, but it was not completely dark. I could see the blue clouds clashing with the red sunshine and couldn't take my eyes off. Finally, after some time, I reached my destination, Udaipur, in the night. I got along with an IT professional and shared the cab to my hotel. For the first time, I experienced a star hotel stay. It was impeccable. Every part of the hotel depicted the Rajasthani culture. I fell into sleep, keeping my fingers crossed for the days ahead in Udaipur. Day 1. I was much excited. Slowly, I was trying to understand the environment there. I was surprised to see the prices of an ordinary breakfast or lunch everywhere. The reason was simple. If I see something like restaurant, I will get a good feel with effective ambience, AC and furniture. But there, I noticed only normal chairs and tables, not even a fan in some places. Still, they had a competing price that of a restaurant. Later, I realized that it was all just because of the tourist attraction in the city. My hotel located in the central part of the city, so it was easy for me to pay a visit anywhere within the city. I started to City Palace, the first one in my checklist. Usually, the way we read about Rajasthan in our books, we could be under the impression that it contains only deserts. But no, the state was far more than my imagination. The City Palace was a marvelous construction. My two eyes were not sufficient to view and appreciate the beauty of the palace. I visited the City Palace Museum. There were many interesting things inside, like the bow and arrows, maps from the ancient times, sculptures. Every frame depicted a story from the history. Being a history buff, I really admired it. The view of the city, Udaipur, Lake Pichola and Taj Lake Palace from the City Palace were lovely. There were local guides all over the museum for the tourists to provide more information about the history of the palace. The only complaint I had was the humidity. I was sweating like anything even inside the palace. There were stays with less width inside the palace. I got to see many musical instruments and even kitchen equipment from the olden days. In the meantime, I got stuck at a place, as I could hear someone speaking in my language. Yay! In an unknown place, it was like I was with some known people. They were talking in Telugu. One of them figured out that I could speak Telugu just by looking at me. I smiled and moved on. It was already afternoon and I was damn hungry after roaming for hours together from morning. I had lunch along with Kesar Kulfi to get rid of the heat there. Later, I started roaming in the streets of Udaipur for a while. I was very happy, not sure if it was just because of the freedom and independence or the palace effect. I also fell in love with the city. I purchased a hat similar to that of a soldier so it could protect my head from sun or rain. After some rest at the hotel, evening I visited Sajjan Niwas, a garden full of trees and pools. There I got into a tram to have a scenic view of the garden which was beautiful. My day came to an end with a gobi paratha. Day 2. It was my birthday. It was the first time that I was between unknown people on my birthday. It made me sad for a while, but no, I wanted the day as well to be special as always. I got ready early in the morning and visited the famous Jagdish temple. Then I went for a boat ride on Lake Pichola. But I could say the prices for food, transport and entry pass for anything were extravagant. The boat ride was exemplary. One side the back view of City Palace and the other side Taj Lake Palace. In between water with fresh wind. No words to say. On the ride I reached Jagmandir Ghat, an island palace which was built by the then king Karan Singh. People say that Shah Jahan took rescue here so that no other Muslim invader can enter into it, since the name says it as Mandir, which means temple. But actually there was no temple inside. It's also been said that Shah Jahan took inspiration from here to build the famous monument Taj Mahal. I found an insider who helped me in taking some pics there. It was little late by the time the boat ride got completed and I was exhausted. After some rest in the hotel, evening I again went to the City Palace for photography. I felt that I should do nothing but just sit there in the garden, ideally by looking at the palace. Come on, it was so beautiful. With some wonderful pics from my camera, I attended something called Manek Chowk, which was a light and sound show. It said about the various stories of Mewar dynasty. I was overwhelmed with the way they presented the show. With a voice from one side of the palace, we could see the corresponding lights there. It was just that we had to imagine the characters, the dubbing and sound were in place. At some point, I was too involved in those stories that I even got goosebumps. No doubt, the show just made my special day even more special. The palace was also glowing like anything even during the night. Day 3. I started little late to Fateh Sagar Lake for another boat ride. I came across a Punjabi couple inside the boat who created a lot of fun all over the ride. Then I went for a horse ride on the roads of Udaipur. It was fantabulous. After that, I spent some time in a park nearby and had Hyderabadi biryani. I just wanted to check to what extent they were enlightening my city's biryani. And yeah, it was lip smacking. Then I started walking for a while to reach my next destination, as I couldn't find any other means of transport. It was a remote area and the day was very hot. Two men came on a bike to ask me some address which I was not aware. Then they asked me to get into their bike so they could drop me somewhere nearby. I did so and reached Udaipur Art and Craft Museum. I didn't have the idea of buying something there, but once after I was inside, I felt like I should have a traditional Rajasthani attire. That's it. I got pagdis, kurta, dhoti and chappal. I loved every bit of their culture. Later, I reached another garden called Saheliyon Ki Bari, wherein I got irritated with the way the guides forced me to come along. I completely denied them and roamed around the beautiful place. But this time, I got stuck in a sudden heavy downpour. I rushed towards an auto and reached hotel soon. The rain didn't allow me to roam further in the evening. Day 4. I started for Chittorgarh with a new top that I got from the Arts and Crafts Museum. In the bus, suddenly I heard a famous Telugu song. I felt as if my wings were open. Of course, I was not going to talk, but it was just a feeling that, hey, I found someone from my place. But later, I got to know that it was a Tamil guy who had some Telugu songs in his mobile. As soon as I stepped out of the bus in Chittorgarh, at least I found 10 people who surrounded me saying that they would show me the city as a tourist guide. I had to choose one among them who was also an auto driver. It was already afternoon, so I had Rajasthani thali as lunch and then started towards the fort. It was a very historical place, but I felt that it had nothing much to offer. The tourism development was still in progress. It was an excellent view of the city from the top of the fort. I saw the famous Meera temple first. The sculptures in the temple were extraordinary. After that, I got into something called Vijayastham, which was a 7-story vertical building. The stairs were 4 feet high and there was no proper light inside. I was trying assiduously, but it was like an uphill in the battle. Finally, I went to the top of the building, but couldn't find any great view as expected. The time when I was coming down from the stairs, my leg got slipped and I fell towards my back. If I had fallen towards the front, it would have been worse. I managed somehow and took rest for a while. Then I visited the famous Kalika temple wherein I got afraid of monkeys that surrounded me. Later, I also visited the Rani Padmini Palace. On my way back to Udaipur, I even saw the Kumbha Palace. Day 5. I had an awesome lunch at a Punjabi restaurant and started to Shilpgram in Udaipur, where I found a lot of traditional items. People from various states like Maharashtra, Goa, Gujarat and Rajasthan come together to showcase their art and culture. After that, I visited Monsoon Palace or Sajangarh. It was almost 10 kilometers up the hill and I could see some breathtaking views from there. The road was also in a zigzag way and at some point it was terrific. There was nothing on top of the hill, that is, inside the palace, but the view was good. Later, I visited Sajangarh Biological Park and Wax Museum. I even experienced 5D movie, mirror maze and horror show. On the whole, it was an amazing experience. I couldn't identify when the days passed easily and I had to take the return flight on the next day morning. Lot of memories and lot of experience. I just felt not leaving the city, although the climate was miserable that time. I thought that I would have planned well to visit Jaipur as well during those days. But after all, it was my first trip and first trial which was a hit for me. Maybe I could plan a way better next time. Someone said true, travel heals everything. At least for some days I was out of everything and experienced like never like before. All thanks to my family and friends whose support and encouragement indeed made this happen. Now, what are you thinking about? The quotes on solo trip are very true. We should experience it at least once in a lifetime. What do you say? Well, here's the end of my 5th episode. I'll be back with another amazing concept next week. Till then, stay tuned. Here's Kirit signing off for the day.